The stars looked different from the observation deck of the Dauntless *. Captain Ethan Murphy stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the distant lights of Selmar Prime. After 20 years of space travel, he still felt small among the stars. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Confederation 30 years ago, and many alien species still viewed them as newcomers. "Captain, incoming transmission from New Montana Colony," said Communications Officer Ryan Ford. Murphy nodded. His younger brother Jack had moved to New Montana last year. They were due to speak tomorrow about their mother's upcoming birthday. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered to life, but instead of the usual calm face of a colony official, Murphy saw chaos. The camera shook violently as people ran past. Smoke filled the background. "This is New Montana Colony. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack by Vrex warships. Our defenses are failing. We need immediate." The transmission cut to static. "Get them back," Murphy ordered. Lisa Daniels, the ship's science officer, rushed to her station. Her fingers flew across the controls. "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy discharges in the New Montana system, consistent with Vrex plasma weapons." Murphy felt his heart rate increase. How long to reach New Montana at maximum speed? 4 hours, sir, Navigation Officer Kelly Ward answered. "Set course immediately. Alert Earth Fleet Command." As the Dauntless changed direction, Murphy contacted Admiral Susan Wright. Her face appeared on the private channel, already grim. "Murphy, we're getting reports from multiple sources. It's bad." "How bad?" "Total colony destruction. 12 million people." Murphy gripped the edge of his console until his knuckles turned white. 12 million. His brother Jack among them. "The Vrex will pay for this," he said, his voice dangerously quiet. "Not so fast," Wright replied. "The Confederation Council is already convening an emergency session. We need to follow protocol." When the Dauntless arrived at New Montana, nothing remained but floating debris and ash. Where a thriving colony once stood, only a charred surface remained. The crew worked in stunned silence as they recorded evidence and searched for survivors. They found none. 3 days later, Murphy stood before the Galactic Confederation Council on Selmar Prime. 60 different alien species were represented, watching from their raised platforms. The Vrex ambassador was notably absent. "The Council expresses its deep regret for the loss of the human colony," said Prime Counselor Grell, a tall, thin alien with gray skin. "However, this appears to be a territorial dispute. The Vrex Empire claims that humans were extracting resources from a system they had historical claim to." Murphy could hardly believe what he was hearing. 12 million civilians were murdered, and you call it a territorial dispute? The council chamber filled with murmurs. Many delegates looked uncomfortable with Murphy's emotional display. "Captain Murphy," said Ambassador Zextrol, a blue-skinned diplomat, "your species' emotional responses are clouding your judgment. The council will investigate this matter through proper channels." Later, back on the Dauntless Lisa Daniels found Murphy in his quarters. He sat motionless, holding a photo of his brother. "Captain, I found something strange in the sensor logs," she said softly. Before the attack, 3 ships from Confederation species visited the Vrex homeworld. One was Zextrel's personal vessel. Murphy looked up, his eyes cold with realization. They knew. They might have even helped plan it. "There's more," Lisa continued. "I've been reviewing historical data. Most advanced species in the Confederation evolved beyond what they call emotional reactions. They see anger, grief, love, all emotional responses, as primitive evolutionary traits. They think we're savages because we feel things," Murphy said. Lisa nodded. "Exactly. They believe emotional control is the mark of an advanced species." Murphy stood up slowly, placing his brother's photo on his desk. "They're wrong. Our emotions are our strength, not our weakness." He tapped his communication panel. Lieutenant Ford, contact Earth immediately. Priority 1. What are you planning, sir? Lissa asked. Murphy's face was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. They think human anger is primitive. They haven't seen anything yet. The emergency meeting room at Earth Fleet Command was filled with grim faces. Admiral Susan Wright stood at the head of the table, her silver hair pulled back tightly. On the wall screens, images of the destroyed New Montana colony played in a continuous loop. The official response from Earth will be measured and diplomatic, she said, her voice steady. We will publicly agree to the Confederation's investigation process. Captain Murphy frowned. With all due respect, Admiral, that's not enough. Wright's eyes narrowed. I didn't say that was our only response, Captain. She pressed a button, and the room's security level increased. The screens changed to show military deployment plans. While we play nice in public, we're assembling a response team. The Dauntless Asterisk will be at its center. She turned to a man sitting quietly at the corner of the table. This is Ben Hayes, our best tactical specialist. His wife was teaching on New Montana. Hayes nodded slightly, his face expressionless. Only his eyes revealed the storm inside him. I've studied the Vrex for years, Hayes said. They respect only one thing: power. They believe humans are weak because we show emotion. Lisa Daniels, who had accompanied Murphy to the meeting, spoke up. The Vrex weren't just attacking randomly. Our scans showed they were searching for something specific in the New Montana ruins. She displayed her findings on the main screen. They concentrated their search here, near the colony's archaeological dig site. What were our people digging up? Murphy asked. Artifacts from a civilization that predates the Confederation, Lisa explained. The site director sent me this image the day before the attack. The screen showed a small metallic object covered in strange symbols. Did the Vrex find it? Wright asked. Unknown, Lisa replied. But their search pattern suggests they know exactly what they were looking for. As the meeting continued, a junior officer entered and whispered something to Admiral Wright. Her face darkened. It seems we have a visitor, she said. The Confederation has sent Ambassador Zex Troll to help us process our grief. Murphy's jaw tightened, the same Zex Troll whose ship visited the Vrex before the attack. The very same, Wright confirmed. And now we're going to welcome him with open arms. The reception hall was filled with Earth officials putting on a show of diplomatic courtesy. Ambassador Zex Troll glided through the crowd, his blue skin shimmering under the lights. Murphy and Lisa watched from the corner as Zex Troll approached Admiral Wright. Admiral, the Confederation extends its deepest sympathies, the ambassador said smoothly. We understand this is a difficult time for your species, given your emotional nature. We appreciate the Confederation's concern, Wright replied with practiced calmness. I must warn you, Zex Troll continued, lowering his voice. Any retaliation against the Vrex would severely damage Earth's standing in the galactic community. For the sake of stability, this matter must be handled through proper diplomatic channels. Of course, Ambassador, Earth respects the Confederation's processes. Later, as the reception ended, Murphy, Lisa, and Hayes met in a secure room. He's trying to buy time, Hayes said. The Vrex are planning something bigger. Lisa nodded. I've been researching human neurological responses compared to other species. We're unique in the galaxy. When most advanced species evolve, they suppress their emotional centers to enhance logical thinking. But humans didn't, Murphy asked. No, we integrated them. When humans get angry, our brains don't shut down. They hyperfocus. It's an evolutionary trait from when we were both prey and predator. Hayes looked thoughtful. The Vrex must know this. They're afraid of what happens when humans unite in anger. Murphy stood up. Then we shouldn't disappoint them. Admiral Wright gave us authorization to investigate the artifact while Earth plays diplomat. Where do we start? Lisa asked. With the only people who might have answers, the survivors. Murphy's face was determined. There were 50 human scientists off-planet during the attack. One of them knows what the Vrex were looking for, and why it was worth killing 12 million people to get it. That night, as the Dauntless prepared to leave Earth orbit, Ambassador Zex Troll sent a coded message to an unknown destination. Humans preparing response. Proceed with caution. Their anger has been awakened. Dr. Alan Foster had spent 20 years studying ancient galactic history. Now, as he stood in the secure conference room of the Dauntless, he looked more excited than a man had any right to be after the tragedy at New Montana. Captain Murphy, what I'm about to show you isn't in any official Confederation record, he said, placing an old data crystal on the table. This comes from the archives of the Torani, a species that was nearly removed from the Confederation 300 years ago. Murphy, Lisa, and Hayes gathered around as Foster activated the crystal. Ancient text and images appeared in the air above it. The early days of human space exploration aren't remembered the way we think, Foster explained. The first human ships that ventured beyond our solar system earned a nickname among the older species. He pointed to a symbol that translated roughly to berserkers. Berserkers? Lisa asked. Why would they call us that? The fourth human deep space mission encountered a small colony of prey being attacked by raiders. The human ship was outgunned and outnumbered. Foster's eyes gleamed. But when the human captain saw children being killed, something happened. The human crew fought with such intensity that they drove off ships 3 times their size. Hayes nodded slowly. They triggered our combat response. Exactly. After that, word spread quickly. Don't threaten humans unless you're prepared for consequences beyond logical calculation. We became known as protectors of weaker species. Murphy frowned. So what changed? Now the Confederation treats us like emotional children. Politics, Foster said simply. As the Confederation grew, emotional species became viewed as unpredictable. There was an event called the Suppression where emotionally driven species were systematically pushed to the margins of galactic politics. Lisa's eyes widened. The artifact from New Montana. Could it be related? I believe so. Foster nodded. Ancient texts mention devices that could enhance or suppress emotional responses. If the Vrex found such a device, they could use it against us, Hayes finished. The ship's communication system chimed. Captain, we've located Dr. Kara Wilson, the lead archaeologist from New Montana. She's at a research outpost near the Vrex border. Murphy stood. Set course immediately. 3 days later, the Dauntless approached a small, unmarked station hidden in an asteroid field. As they docked, Murphy sensed something was wrong. No response to our hails, Ryan Ford reported from communications. Scan for life signs, Murphy ordered. Lisa checked her instruments. I'm detecting 1 human life sign and several non-human signatures. Captain, this looks like a Vrex raiding pattern. Hayes, you're with me, Murphy said, checking his sidearm. Lisa, monitor from here. The boarding team found the station in disarray. Signs of struggle marked the corridors. In the main lab, they discovered Dr. Wilson hiding in a sealed storage compartment. Captain Murphy, she asked, her voice shaking. Thank God. They were just here, Vrex soldiers. Before Murphy could respond, weapons fire erupted from the far doorway. Vrex soldiers, with their reptilian features and armored bodies, poured into the lab. Get down, Hayes shouted, pushing Dr. Wilson behind a console. What happened next surprised even Hayes. Murphy, seeing his team threatened, moved with shocking speed. His face showed not fear but focused rage as he fired with deadly precision. Hayes felt his own anger rising, his senses becoming sharper, his reactions faster. Within minutes, the Vrex soldiers lay defeated. The last one, still alive, looked up at Murphy with genuine fear in its alien eyes. How? It hissed. You were outnumbered. Murphy knelt beside the dying soldier. You attacked my people. Never underestimate what humans will do to protect their own. Back on the Dauntless Asterisk, Dr. Wilson examined the data they had recovered. The artifact is called the Emotion Amplifier, she explained. It doesn't just enhance emotions, it can weaponize them, turning feelings into energy. Is that what the Vrex wanted it for? Lissa asked. Dr. Wilson shook her head. No. They'd want it because they're terrified of what will happen if humans find it first. The Vrex attacked New Montana not just to get the artifact, but to test human resolve. Murphy's face hardened. Then they got their answer. Now it's time for us to find that artifact before they do. In the shadows of the room, no one noticed the small device blinking under a console, a Vrex tracker, sending their location directly to the Vrex fleet. The mood at Earth Fleet Command was tense but focused. Admiral Wright stood before a holographic display showing key Vrex supply bases. Around her, fleet captains and special operations leaders waited silently. For 3 weeks, we've maintained the appearance of diplomatic compliance, she said. Today, that changes. Operation First Strike begins in 6 hours. She nodded to Major Carol Martinez, leader of the Special Operations Division. Martinez stepped forward, her movements precise and controlled. My teams will deploy to these 5 locations simultaneously, Martinez explained, highlighting points on the map. Each team will operate under Fury Protocol. Murphy raised an eyebrow. Fury Protocol. A new combat enhancement system, Hayes explained quietly. It safely channels the anger response I told you about. Allows for controlled aggression without compromising judgment. Wright continued. The Vrex believe we're still licking our wounds. They don't expect us to strike with coordination or precision. After the briefing, Murphy pulled Hayes aside. You're going with Martinez, aren't you? Hayes nodded. I've been training with the system for weeks. It works, Ethan. It lets us use what makes us human without being consumed by it. 6 hours later, 5 human strike teams hit their targets across Vrex territory. The Dauntless Asterisk provided support for Martinez and Hayes as they infiltrated the largest supply base. From the bridge, Murphy watched the operation unfold on tactical displays. What he saw amazed him. The human teams moved with extraordinary speed and precision. Their anger wasn't wild or chaotic. It was focused like a laser. The Vrex don't understand what's happening, Lisa said, monitoring communications. They expected either hesitation or blind rage. Not this. Within 3 hours, all 5 bases were neutralized with minimal human casualties. The Vrex lost their main supply chain for their Western fleet. On the final base, Martinez's team captured the Vrex regional commander. When Murphy arrived at the detention area, he found Hayes staring at the prisoner through a one-way screen. He can't believe it, Hayes said. None of them can. They were told humans were either weak or uncontrollable. The Vrex commander, a large reptilian with decorated scales, sat stiffly in the cell. When Murphy entered, the commander's inner eyelids flickered, a sign of surprise. You are not what we expected, the commander said. You murdered 12 million of our people, Murphy replied calmly. What did you expect? Emotional outbursts, irrational vengeance. Not. The commander gestured at the walls. Not this precision. As Murphy questioned the commander, disturbing information emerged. The Vrex hadn't acted alone. Several Confederation species had provided intelligence, hoping the attack would either subdue humans or provoke them into self-destructive retaliation. Back on the bridge, Murphy received an urgent message from Admiral Wright. The Confederation is in chaos, she reported. Our strikes were so precise that several species are now questioning the narrative about human emotional instability. Lisa added, we're receiving unofficial communications from 3 Confederation members. They want to open separate diplomatic channels. Before Murphy could respond, Ryan Ford interrupted from communications. Captain, emergency transmission from the human outpost near Rigel. The Vrex have taken hostages. The screen showed a Vrex commander standing before 30 terrified human civilians. This is Commander Vex Gorel of the Vrex Empire. Your precision attacks have been noted. Now we will see how precise you remain when emotions are truly tested. The commander grabbed a young man from the group. You have 6 hours to withdraw all forces from Vrex territory and surrender the human named Hayes. For every hour you delay, 1 human dies. Murphy felt cold anger settling into his bones. This was exactly the scenario Hayes had warned about, a direct attempt to force humans into an emotional trap. What do we do, Captain? Lisa asked quietly. Murphy studied the screen. The hostages were held in a fortified base. A direct assault would likely result in their deaths. Surrender was unthinkable. Get me Martinez, Murphy said finally, and prepare my shuttle. I'm going in alone. Hayes stepped forward. They asked for me, not you. Exactly, Murphy replied. They're expecting us to react emotionally, to give them what they want. Instead, we're going to show them something they've never seen before. What's that? Hayes asked. Murphy's eyes were cold, but his mind was perfectly clear. The difference between anger and wrath. Murphy's shuttle approached the Rigel outpost alone and unarmed. His plan had shocked the crew of the Dauntless Asterisk, but no one had argued. They had seen that look in his eyes before. Vrex Command, this is Captain Ethan Murphy of Earth Fleet. I am coming to discuss your terms. The Vrex commander's voice crackled through the comm. Where is Hayes? I wish to speak with you first. I am unarmed and alone. After a tense moment, the Vrex granted landing permission. As Murphy stepped off his shuttle, 6 Vrex soldiers surrounded him. They led him to Commander Vex Gorel, a massive Vrex with battle scars across his scales. You are either brave or foolish, human, Vex Gorel said. Murphy looked at the hostages huddled in the corner. They appeared unharmed but terrified. I came to ask why you think this will work, Murphy said calmly. You saw what happened at your supply bases. Vex Gorel circled Murphy slowly, because now we understand how humans work. You hide your emotions behind strategy, but when faced with direct suffering, you break. Murphy met the commander's gaze. You misunderstand us completely. Our emotions don't make us weak. They make us dangerous. As they spoke, something invisible happened. The tiny communicator hidden in Murphy's collar sent signals to the Dauntless Asterisk. Lisa Daniels, monitoring from orbit, began the operation they had planned. Tell me, Commander, Murphy continued, did you know that humans are the only species in the galaxy that smiles when they are about to attack? Vex Gorel tilted his head in confusion. What do you mean? Murphy smiled. The lights in the base flickered and went out. In the darkness, tiny drones released by Murphy's shuttle deployed a special gas. To the Vrex, it seemed harmless. To the humans in the room, it delivered a precisely calibrated dose of adrenaline. When emergency lights came on 30 seconds later, the hostages were no longer cowering. Their eyes showed the same focused intensity that Murphy's did. Before Vex Gorel could react, Murphy moved with startling speed, disarming the nearest guard. The hostages, ordinary civilians but now enhanced by the Fury Protocol gas, followed his lead. Outside, Martinez and her team, who had silently approached during the blackout, reached the base from multiple points. In 7 minutes, it was over. All hostages safe. Most Vrex soldiers captured. Vex Gorel stood in shock as Murphy approached him. Impossible, the commander whispered. They were untrained civilians. They were angry humans, Murphy corrected him. There's a difference. Later, aboard the Dauntless Asterisk, Lisa studied the data from the operation. Your plan worked perfectly, she told Murphy. The targeted Fury Protocol deployment gave the hostages just enough edge without compromising their control. Murphy nodded, but his face showed concern. I took a risk. If I had miscalculated the dosage, or if any of the hostages had panicked instead of focusing their anger. But they didn't, Hayes said, joining them. That's what the Vrex will never understand. Humans don't just feel anger. We choose what to do with it. Word of the Rigel incident spread quickly through the galaxy. The story of unarmed civilians working with soldiers to defeat elite Vrex forces created ripples of concern among Confederation species. Ambassador Zex Troll requested an emergency meeting with Admiral Wright. This escalation must stop, the ambassador insisted. The Confederation cannot allow. Cannot allow what? Wright interrupted. Cannot allow humans to defend themselves. Cannot allow us to rescue innocent hostages. You don't understand the delicate balance. No, you don't understand humans, Wright replied. For years you've dismissed our emotions as weakness. Now you fear them as strength. Make up your mind, Ambassador. As the diplomatic crisis deepened, Dr. Wilson made a breakthrough on the dauntless asterisk. I've decoded more information about the emotion amplifier, she told Murphy and Lisa. It's not just a weapon. It's a key to something much bigger. The ancient civilization didn't just try to control emotions. They found a way to use them as energy. Energy for what? Murphy asked. Dr. Wilson's face was pale. For a device that could affect the emotional capacity of entire species. In the wrong hands, it could suppress all emotional response across whole star systems. Murphy understood immediately. That's why the Vrex are so desperate. They want to turn it against us. Not just against us, Lisa realized. Against any species that threatens their logical, controlled vision of the galaxy. Murphy stared out at the stars. The conflict had changed. This wasn't just about revenge for New Montana anymore. It was about protecting what made humans human. The Galactic Confederation was splitting apart. 3 weeks after the Rigel incident, 5 species had broken ranks to form an alliance with Earth. Among them were the Taurani, who had suffered under emotional suppression for centuries. On the dauntless asterisk, Murphy welcomed Krelvor, the Taurani ambassador. Unlike most Confederation species, the Taurani had fur and expressive faces that showed clear emotions. Captain Murphy, my people have watched humans with great interest, Krelvor said, his fur rippling with excitement. For generations, we were told our emotional nature made us lesser beings. Then humans arrived, proving emotions and advanced civilization could coexist. We're honored by your support, Murphy replied. But the Vrex are growing more desperate. Krelvor nodded gravely. That is why I came. Our spies have uncovered the location of a Vrex research facility. They are building a device based on the ancient technology, an emotion suppressor. Lisa, who had joined them, looked alarmed. How close are they to completion? Too close, the ambassador answered. But we also discovered their weakness. The Vrex brain structure has a unique vulnerability. Their logical centers are connected to dormant emotional regions they evolved to suppress. Admiral Wright, joining via hologram, listened carefully. How does this help us? If we could activate those dormant regions even temporarily, it would overwhelm their control systems, Krelvor explained. Murphy understood. We turn their own emotions against them. Back at Earth Fleet Command, Wright implemented a bold new strategy called the Wrath Doctrine. Human ships began appearing and disappearing at random throughout Vrex space, never attacking the same way twice. The key is unpredictability, Wright explained to her captains. The Vrex cannot logically plan for what they cannot predict. Hayes, now leading his own strike team, added, we want them to believe human anger makes us completely unpredictable, while actually following a precise pattern only we understand. The strategy worked brilliantly. Vrex forces scrambled to respond to phantom threats, while human teams gathered intelligence on the emotion suppressor project. On the Vrex homeworld, Emperor Vexnar received troubling reports. His top scientist, Vexcrawl, stood nervously before him. The suppressor is not yet stable, Emperor. We need more time. Time is what we do not have, the Emperor hissed. The humans grow bolder each day. Their emotional unpredictability spreads like a disease. Already 5 Confederation species have joined them. There is an alternative, the scientists suggested cautiously. Our prototype is ready. It cannot affect an entire system, but it could neutralize a single human ship. Deploy it against the dauntless asterisk, the Emperor ordered. Cut off the head, and the body will fall. On the dauntless asterisk, Dr. Wilson worked frantically with Lisa to develop a countermeasure based on the information from Krell-4. If the Vrex deploy their suppressor against us, our emotional responses will be dampened, Dr. Wilson explained to Murphy. We'll become like them, logical but limited. Lisa held up a small device. This should not only block their technology, but potentially reverse it. Instead of suppressing emotions, it might enhance focus. Before Murphy could respond, alarms blared across the ship. Vrex battle cruiser approaching, Ryan Ford announced from his station. They're charging some kind of energy weapon we've never seen before. Evasive maneuvers, Murphy ordered. The dauntless asterisk veered sharply, but the Vrex weapon fired. A pulse of energy washed over the ship. For a moment, every human on board felt a strange emptiness. I feel nothing, Hayes whispered, looking at his hands. Around the bridge, crew members stared blankly at their stations. Lisa fought through the fog in her mind and activated their countermeasure. A soft blue light pulsed throughout the ship. The emptiness receded, replaced by a crystalline clarity unlike anything they had ever experienced. What's happening? Murphy asked, feeling his emotions return, but now strangely focused. The countermeasure worked, Lisa said, her eyes bright with discovery. But it did more than block their weapon. It's enhanced our neural pathways. We're experiencing pure emotional focus. Murphy turned to tactical. Target their weapon systems. The dauntless asterisk moved with unprecedented coordination. Every crew member functioned in perfect harmony. Within minutes, the Vrex cruiser was disabled, its weapon destroyed. As Murphy led a boarding party onto the enemy ship, he came face to face with the Vrex commander. For the first time, he saw fear in a Vrex's eyes. "What are you?" the commander asked. "What you could have been," Murphy answered, "if you hadn't forgotten how to feel." The captured Vrex cruiser held secrets beyond what anyone had expected. As Lisa and Dr. Wilson examined the ship's database, they discovered something shocking. "Captain, you need to see this." Lisa called Murphy to the Vrex command center. She displayed a series of communications between the Vrex Emperor and another species. "These aren't in any language I recognize," Murphy said, studying the strange symbols. Dr. Wilson's face was grim. "That's because they're from the Skull, a species so ancient most believe they're just a myth. They rarely interact with the Confederation." "What are they saying?" Murphy asked. "The Scythal have been manipulating both sides of this conflict," Lisa explained. "They provided the Vrex with information about the artifact on New Montana. They suggested the colony attack." Hayes, who had joined them, looked confused. Why would they want to start a war between humans and the Vrex? Dr. Wilson pulled up more files. "The Scythal believe emotional species are a threat to galactic stability. For millennia, they've worked behind the scenes to suppress emotional development. They were behind the suppression that Dr. Foster told us about." Murphy's eyes narrowed. "And now they see humans as the greatest threat. Because we're proving that emotions aren't a weakness," Lisa said. "We're showing the galaxy another path." Admiral Wright, informed of the discovery, called an emergency meeting with Earth's new allies. Representatives from 7 species now stood with humans. "The Scythal have manipulated galactic development for thousands of years," Wright told them. "They see emotional species as chaotic and dangerous." Krell-4, the Torani ambassador, stood up. "My people have ancient stories about this Scythal. They are said to have incredible technology, but lack any emotional capacity. They see the universe as a mathematical equation to be solved. And we're the variable they can't control," Murphy added. The coalition formed a daring plan. While diplomatic representatives would confront the Confederation Council with evidence of Scythal manipulation, a joint military force led by the Dauntless would strike at the heart of the Vrex Empire. Our target isn't the Vrex, Murphy explained to his crew. It's their emotion suppressor technology. If we can reverse it using what we learned from our countermeasure, we might be able to awaken the Vrex's dormant emotional centers. You want to make the Vrex feel emotions? Hayes asked, surprised. Not permanently, Lisa explained. Just long enough for them to understand what they've lost, what the Scathal have taken from them. The mission to the Vrex homeworld was the most dangerous yet. 3 human ships and 4 alien vessels approached under stealth. While the Tyranny created a diversion, Murphy led a small team including Lisa, Hayes, and Dr. Wilson to the central research facility. Fighting was intense. The Vrex defended their facility with everything they had. Murphy's team pushed forward, their enhanced focus giving them an edge. When they finally reached the central chamber, they found the emotion suppressor, a massive device pulsing with strange energy. "Can you reverse it?" Murphy asked Lisa. She nodded, already working with Dr. Wilson to modify the machine. The principles are similar to our countermeasure, just on a planetary scale. As they worked, the facility shook with explosions. Vrex reinforcements were closing in. "Whatever you're doing, do it fast," Hayes called, defending their position. Finally, Lisa stepped back. "It's ready." "Activate it," Murphy ordered. The machine hummed, then emitted a pulse of blue energy that spread outward in a visible wave. Throughout the facility, Vrex soldiers suddenly stopped fighting. Some fell to their knees, while others simply stood in shock as emotions they had never experienced flooded through them. The Emperor himself, who had come to oversee the defense, staggered into the chamber. His eyes, usually cold and calculating, were wide with unfamiliar feelings. What is this?" he gasped. "Empathy," Murphy answered. "Compassion. Regret. The emotions your species suppressed long ago." The Emperor looked at Murphy with new understanding. "The pain we caused. I can feel it now." Through their shared communication systems, they could hear reports of the same effect spreading across the planet. For the first time in their history, the Vrex were experiencing the full range of emotions their ancestors had evolved to suppress. "This changes everything," the Emperor whispered. But even as they spoke, alarms blared throughout the facility. On every screen, a single message appeared: "Scathal forces approaching. All Confederation species will submit." The massive Scathal ship hung in orbit above the Confederation capital station. It was unlike any vessel Murphy had ever seen, perfect in its symmetry, cold in its beauty. No wasted lines, no decorative elements. Pure function. 3 days had passed since the events on the Vrex homeworld. In that time, the galaxy had changed. The Vrex, their emotional centers temporarily awakened, had called for an immediate ceasefire. The Confederation Council was in chaos as evidence of Scathal manipulation spread. Murphy stood in the Great Council chamber alongside Admiral Wright, Hayes, Lisa, and representatives from 12 species, including the Vrex Emperor himself. Across from them stood 3 Scathal. They were tall, thin beings with pale, translucent skin. Their large heads housed enormous brains, and their eyes were black and expressionless. When they spoke, their voices were perfectly modulated, without any emotional inflection. "Your experiment with emotional integration has gone too far," the lead Scathal stated. "For 50,000 years, we have guided the evolution of this galaxy toward perfect order. Emotions are inefficient. They lead to chaos. They also lead to growth," Murphy replied. "To art, to love, to the very things that make life worth living." The Scathal turned their empty gaze on him. "Life is not about worth, human. It is about optimization. Emotional species waste resources on conflict, on celebration, on mourning. These are inefficiencies." Prime Counselor Grell, who had once dismissed human emotions, now stood with Murphy. "We were wrong to follow your guidance blindly. The humans have shown us another path." The lead Scathol raised a device. You have been infected by human emotional contagion. This must be corrected. Before anyone could react, the device activated. A wave of emptiness swept through the chamber. Murphy felt his emotions draining away, replaced by cold logic. He saw the same happening to everyone around him, even the recently awakened Frex. But this time, Murphy was prepared. He and Lisa had developed a new countermeasure after studying the Frex technology. Small devices hidden throughout the chamber activated, creating a field that not only blocked the Scathol suppressor but enhanced emotional connections. Murphy felt his emotions return, not in a chaotic flood, but as a focused strength. Around him, representatives from a dozen species experienced the same. The Scathol stepped back in confusion. Impossible. You cannot resist. You've never understood, Murphy said, stepping forward. Emotions aren't our weakness. They're our greatest strength. They connect us to each other. They drive us to protect, to create, to explore. As he spoke, more ships arrived in orbit, human vessels alongside their new allies. The Scathol were surrounded. For millennia, you've manipulated species into suppressing their emotions, Admiral Wright said. You've stunted the natural development of countless civilizations. That ends today. The lead Scathol's face showed the first hint of expression. Fear. What will you do? Destroy us? That would prove our point about emotional species and violence. No, Murphy replied. We're going to do something far worse in your eyes. We're going to leave you alone. Lisa stepped forward, holding data records. We're sharing the truth with every species in the galaxy. Each civilization will decide for itself which path to follow, emotional suppression or integration. And we're disbanding the old Confederation structure, the Vrex Emperor added, still experiencing the effects of emotional awakening. A new galactic compact will form, one that respects the diversity of species development. The Scathol leader looked at them with incomprehension. Chaos will result. Not chaos, Murphy corrected. Growth. In the days that followed, a new era began. The emotion amplifier technology was studied carefully, not as a weapon but as a tool for healing. Species that had suppressed their emotional development for generations began careful reintegration programs. 6 months later, Murphy stood on a hill overlooking the rebuilt New Montana colony. A memorial had been erected listing the names of all who had been lost. Jack Murphy's name was among them. Lisa joined him, looking out at the colonists below. Some were human, but many were from other species who had come to learn about emotional integration. Do you think the Scathol will ever understand? She asked. Murphy shook his head. Perhaps not. But that's their loss. In the distance, the Dauntless waited, its crew now a mix of humans and aliens preparing for a new mission of exploration. A small plaque near its airlock had become famous throughout the galaxy. It read simply, "When humans get angry, the galaxy begs for mercy. When humans show compassion, the galaxy learns to hope."